afternoon.
Morning, good afternoon,
Afternoon.
wherever you are in the world. Welcome to COP Youth Ministry 2030. We are so excited to have you here with us. Today, you will experience incredible young speakers. You will experience a panel of experts that will really bring together thoughts, collected thoughts of what we can do, the solutions that we have possible in order to halt the damaging effect of climate change. As you know, it's the youth who will really go through the effects of what's happening today. We haven't seen the worst of it, but I think we haven't seen the best of it. Thanks to this youth, we will definitely have new opportunities, new alternatives. And the fact that we invite experts here to help them through this process, I think the effects are going to be exponential. This is so necessary today. And without the help of our community partners, we could never, ever get this accomplished. So today I want to first start with IIU because I am a core team member and I'm part of the PUH group. IIU is the leading virtual education system and it's a global brand confederation. It's renowned for its innovative programs and commitment to providing the best education to all. We're in 195 countries. We are the largest e-learning platform. We have more than 5,000 e-educators and thousands of e-learners around the world. Our visionary leadership, founded by Mr. Piyush Pandit, truly believes that everybody should have access to education, not just any education, the education that you need in order to enter the workforce with 21st century skills to really enamor, but most importantly, embrace the new future. We also have GSFN, the Global Sustainable Finance Network. It's a voluntary membership-based global initiative launched by the European Organization for Sustainable Development and the Association of Development Financing Institutions in Asia and the Pacific. It was launched in 2011 under the auspices of the World Federation of Development Financing Institutions. Their mission is to promote sustainable finance for all, making sure that all of their members can unite and really help all. Provide a common platform that helps its members, financial institutions, benefit from opportunities emerging through transformation to sustainable economy. It supports its members in developing capacities to integrate sustainability across the board. They offer networking opportunities to member financial institutions, multilateral organizations, government bodies, businesses and industries, and other stakeholders for sharing experiences and ideas. They support its members in developing capacities to integrate sustainability across the board. Again and again, they show up to really provide the support that we all need. Our other community partner is iGen, the 74 million young Americans born between 1995 and 2012. They comprise the most important generation in our nation's history, both in size and composition. 1 out of 4 Americans from the ages of 5 to 22 have been collectively dubbed the iGen generation. This generation has its own moniker because it's unusual. It's huge. It's really, really big. But most importantly, they are involved in everything. Not only has it become the largest social cohort, outnumbering millennials and baby boomers, the iGen or the iGeners is also the most ethnically diverse generation compared to its predecessors. We would also like to thank the International R&D Group. They facilitate and promote all technical and non-technical research and development. It gives all people of the world and universe a platform to expose and show their R&D talents and creativity, cultural or educational growth and surveys, research facilitations, the dissemination of policy issues across the country and internationally to benefit the mass. The International R&D Group is the platform for senior management practitioners, academicians, technical professionals, and all technocrats from all fields to serve the society for new needy students, research scholars, and all people. The International R&D Group is promoting social science, engineering technology, management research by organizing international, national creative talent conference, workshops, model exhibition, guest lectures, intellectual meets, employment skills, etc., etc., etc. They make sure and facilitate the dissemination of policy issues across the country and internationally to benefit every single person in the planet. Thank you all. Thank you to our community partners. And welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Virginia. Yeah, as usual, a wonderful start with all the flashing brightness to just sparkle the whole space. Thank you. Thank you so
Good
much.
evening, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Lakshmi. Thank you. Well, moving ahead, it's our duty to welcome everyone who has joined us. Our guest for the day, Dr. Charles, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. And Dr. Zakira ma'am representing HIGEN, Dr. Shahid Adibisi, thank you, doctor. Thanks for joining us. And the other speakers who have joined us today, we are just keeping our fingers crossed. It was told that one more very distinguished guest is going to join us today, if at all time permits. If it is so, I may take a little break and then to welcome the guest in between. Thank you so much. Moving ahead, as we all know, what is COP? COP is all about. What do you think COP is all about? What's the meaning of COP? We all know we are policemen. What we are policing for? We are policing for the environment and the community. So all our COP meetings, they are called as Conference of Parties. There are a series of meetings, as Dr. Virginia was mentioning, with the United Nations Framework Convention of Climatic Change, UNFCCC, where countries that are parties to the convention come together to discuss and negotiate on the international climatic policies and agreements. These COP meetings are crucial in addressing the global climate change issues and settling international climate policy goals. They provide everyone a platform for the countries to review progress, to negotiate agreements, to make decisions, to set targets, to just move on as such. That's why these COP meetings are very, very essential in a global effort to address the climatic change, as they provide a forum for the countries to come together, share information, negotiate agreements, and make commitments to reduce green gas emissions and limit global warming. So, such an effort is our COP 2030 Youth Ministry. So COP 2030 Youth Ministry serves as a virtual forum for the bright young minds, for the speakers whom we are very proud to call them as ministers, who are going to share our platform with us today of our community, to come together and engage in meaningful deliberations on the particular topic which they have chosen for themselves regarding COP 28 consensus. This forum serves as an avenue of knowledgeable and insightful deliberations to take place and for the generations of feasible proposals that would drive an agenda towards a sustainable future. So please remember that this COP 2030 Youth Ministry is a very proud forum which is of the students, for the students, which is run by the students. So all the students who are here, they're all change makers, they're student leaders who have contributed by and large to the community, and they are here to share their experiences, their inferences, their project details, and how far it has influenced their country to bring a change all about. So moving ahead, it could be climatic finance initiatives, technology transfer capacity building, it could be carbon offset projects, climatic education awareness, climatic research and data collection, it could be policy and advocate efforts, everything as such. When you talk about projects, it could be on renewable energy projects, reforestation, afforestation, adaptation initiatives, energy efficiency programs, etc., etc., etc. On that note, today, that is on 27th Jan, what our COP20 Youth Ministry is all set about, they're going to talk about net zero. When we talk about net zero, we all know that science shows clearly that in order to avoid the worst impacts on climate change and preserve a livable planet, global temperature that increases, we don't know, beyond any limit, needs to be limited to 1.5 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial levels. Currently, the Earth is already about 1.1 degree warmer than it was late in 1800s. And the emission continue to rise. This is a real issue, not only for one of just the few people who have gathered on this platform, for the whole world, for the whole earth, because earth is the only planet that we have. So to keep the global warming to not more than 1.5 degrees centigrade, as a call for in the Paris Agreement, emissions need to be reduced by 45% by 2030. That's the consensus of the recent COP28, and to reach net zero by 2050. So when we talk about net zero, exactly, to put net zero means cutting out greenhouse gas emissions as close to zero as possible, with any remaining emissions reabsorbed from the atmosphere by oceans and forests, for instance. So when we talk about net zero, what is net zero is all about? A little briefing about net zero for those who want to know about it exactly. So what does net zero means? To put it in simple term, that it's a situation where the green gas emissions from human activity are in balance with the emission reductions. At net zero, carbon dioxide emissions are still generated, but an equal amount of carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere and it is released into it, resulting into zero increase in net emissions. So that crucial it is that net zero to be prevailed in our environment. So when we talk about net zero, is it a good, what are the actual targets of net zero, in the sense, like, as we go ahead, the critics are concerned on these pointers which we have given to our speakers. Moving ahead to deliberate more on this, our youth ministry is going to come up with Call to the World, a pathway to road to net zero, on resilience to disruption caused by the climatic change, standards for net zero emission pledges, nationally determined contribution NDC, a climate action plan, right decarbonization targets, invest in carbon markets, greenwashing to net zero, and the global effort to reach net zero. These are the topics that we are going to be talking about today. On that note, like, we do have our eminent personalities who have joined us, panel of experts with us. May please help me welcome Dr. Virginia, who's one of the panel of experts who's going to summarize the speaker's topics. Dr. Renuka Thakur, she's again one of the, as we all know, she's one of the community partner. Ma'am has considered to be the one of the experts who is going to summarize the topic today. And we have Dr. Tedemiyo Adiloju, and ma'am is consented again to be one of the panel of experts who's going to summarize the topic. And we have Dr. S.O. Adibisi. Professor has helped us a couple of times and he has consented to join as a panel of experts for today. Professor Charles is again consented. Thank you, thank you, His Excellency. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for your consent for being one of the experts who's going to summarize the topic. Dr. D. Lakshmi from IGEN and Dr. Zakira from IGEN, they are here to summarize the topics for today. So not taking much time, I think we should move on to the topic of welcoming the first speakers on board with us. So on that note, may we welcome Zubin Kalyan. Zubin Kalyan, are you ready? Would you like to go first?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Zubin Kalyan, he is a student, Academy of Maritime Education and Training, who is representing our partner, community partner from IGEN. He is going to talk about Nationally Determined Contribution, NDC, a climate action plan. So the floor is all yours. Welcome on board with us, Mr. Zubin. Please go ahead. Thank you. You can share your screen. You are able to see it? Yes, your screen is visible, but you need to make it a slideshow. Now it is quite visible. Please go ahead, Mr. Zubin. Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. I am Zubin Kalyan. I am currently pursuing EEE from MIT University, Chennai. I am representing IGEN, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone to invite me here. So, introduction to NDC, or Nationally Determined Contribution. It is a climate action plan. Nationally Determined contribution are a key aspect of a Paris Agreement aiming to limit global warming to below 2 degrees centigrade. Each country outlines their climate actions and goals in their NDCs, playing a critical role in addressing climate change. So like we all are seeing, there are so much of pollution. Due to that, glaciers are melting. It is causing so many climate change. So it is just a group of countries, nearly all the countries in the world, they have joined hands to bring the global uh, climate temperature below 2 degrees centigrade. So framework of Paris Agreement. So there are participating nations. The Paris Agreement involves nearly 200 countries demonstrating a global commitment to combating climate change by decreasing carbon emissions. Second is climate mitigation. The, the arrangement focus on mitigating measures to reduce greenhouse gases emission and limit global temperature rise, promoting sustainable development. And third one is adapting strategies. The framework emphasizes the countries to enhance efforts to adapt to the impact of climate change, ensuring global resilience. So the methods used will vary depending on countries. Like each countries have to fight different things. So some countries will need to cut down on the deforestation. Some big developing nations or manufacturing nations need to cut down on carbon emissions. It's like that. So purpose of NDCs. So there are transparency and accountability. NDC creates a system for transparent reporting and accountability, making it clear how each country is contributing to global climate action. Guidance for sustainable development. They provide a pathway for countries to integrate climate action into broader sustainable development plans and encourage long-term strategies. And third one is step towards global climate goals. NDC collectively contributes to achieving the global climate goals and set the stage for the future ambition raising efforts. So like each country should be transparent about the efforts, and if they are not able to achieve the targets, they should be transparent about that also. They shouldn't hide anything. So key elements of NDC. So target and ambition. NDC includes specific emission reduction targets and the action a country plans to take to achieve those targets. Nationally appropriate mitigation actions. Countries outline policies to transition to a low carbon economy and address climate changes in a manner consistent with national circumstances and adaptive need and priorities. NDCs identify the most significant adaptation needs and priorities for countries vulnerable communities and ecosystems. So there are 3 case studies. First one is from Germany. Germany's NDCs emphasizes on renewable energy efficiency, and sustainable mobility to achieve significant emission reduction by 2030. Uh, Climate Action Project Germany's plan includes forest conservation, deforestation, and climate-friendly agriculture practice to contribute to global climate objectives. Bilateral collaboration. Germany is collaborating with international partners to share knowledge and technologies for climate mitigation and adaptation strategies. So, like Germany is going with the climate-friendly nature practices. Like one of example is hydroponics. In uh, hydroponics is a new way of agriculture in which we need about like 90% less water than the conventional method. So we can actually control the growth of plants. It is very good way of farming for leafy greens, and we can regulate the nutrients and all the things, all the parameters. So these kind of hydroponic plants, greenhouse plants, they can be set in all kinds of terrains. So that is very useful. Case 2. This is about India. So 80% renewable energy. This is the target of India. Nearly 80% of renewable energy capacity in the national electricity supply has resulted from India's NDC initiative. 35% carbon intensity reduction. India aims to reduce emission intensity by 35% and install 40% of its energy capacity from non-fossil fuel based sources by 2030. So, like India is having the world's largest solar farm. It is situated in Rajasthan, India. It has the installed capacity of 2,245 megawatts. So, case 33. This is from UK. Their emission reduction target is net zero by 2050, and investment in clean energy, 5.2 billion pounds for new flood and coastal defense to protect against climate change. So net zero is like we live in a society like we will need petrol-based vehicles. The factory will produce harmful gases, but we have to counterbalance those pollution by something else, like planting more trees. So this is basically the net zero. And developing and updating NDCs. So there are 3 steps. Assessment of current NDC. Countries assess their current NDCs to identify gaps, areas for improvement, and need for updated targets. Second is stakeholder engagement, consultation with various stakeholders, including government agencies, civil society, private sector, and other groups to gather diverse input for NDC development. And third one is integration of new climate data. New scientific and climate data are integrated to enhance the effectiveness of NDCs in addressing current and future climate change impacts. Conclusion. First one is collective global effort. NDC represent a collaborative global effort with each nation contributing to larger goals of climate change mitigation. Second is ongoing development. Continual development and enhancement of NDCs are essential, aligned with new scientific findings and involving climate challenges. Third is successful implementation. Successful implementation of NDCs require collaboration, innovation, and investment in green energy and resilient infrastructure. Fourth is continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring, evaluation, and revision of NDCs are essential to ensure progress towards the collaborative goals of limiting global temperature rise and building climate resilience. Thank you.
Thank you, Zubin. That was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Quite informative also. You have put in a lot of effort, that's quite evident. And taking scientists examples from all over the globe, mentioning about different countries was quite impressive. On that note, may I request Dr. Lakshmi to do the summary for Zubin Kalyan.
I will be doing, ma'am. She's on travel.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
So, Zubin, your presentation is very well. You have done in nationality determined contribution on climate action. So you have very well started with the introduction, giving that what is Paris Agreement, how the countries are making agreement. That is nearly 200 countries are involved in this nationally determined contribution to have a climate change action to get a 2%, at least 2% degree Celsius degrees will make a great change in our environment. So you also covered what is the purpose of NDC by making the transparency, accountability, and what is the guidance of sustainable development, and what are the goals towards the climate change actions. And then you have covered what are the key elements, like what is the target and what is the mitigation action to be taken by each countries according to their climate changes. And then you have taken the case studies, very good case studies of Germany, India, UK, like that. So first of all, you started with the country Germany, and you have explained how they are taking a bilateral collaboration with other countries and how they are doing the projects to control their action based on the renewable energy environments. And also in India, we are now moving from non-renewable energy to renewable energy system. So nowadays we are having 80% of energy conversion from our renewable energy, and but we are also having the 35% of carbon reduction due to this transformation. So by 2030 we will reach the 2% decrease in our climate change due to this renewable energy. We have nicely taken this case study, and finally have taken a case study of United Kingdom. So with which they are mentioning a net zero emission by 2050, and also they are introducing a emission free or emission reduced target by 2050, and they are investing more in clean energies. So we are very good concluded with this 3 case studies, Uben. Your presented very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Zakira ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Zubin. You have really given us a wonderful start. Moving ahead, Mr. Sachin, will you be able to present next? Mr. Sachin? From
Yes,
IJEN?
ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. Mr. Sachin is a student from Dr. MGR Education Research Institute, and he is going to infer on invest in carbon markets. Am I right, Sachin?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please go ahead. You can start sharing your screen. You need to keep your video on so that your picture comes.
One second. Give me a minute. One second.
Sure. Thank you. Mr. Sachin will be summarized by Dr. Zakira. Am I right?
Ma'am, it will be summarized by Lakshmi ma'am. She will be joining shortly, ma'am. She reached.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I came home, ma'am. I will summarize, ma'am. Sachin.
Sure. Thank you. So, Mr. Sachin, should we go in?
Yes, ma'am. Am I visible?
No, you're not actually. You need to start your video. Now you are. You can start sharing your screen.
Yes.
Slideshow?
Yes.
From the video. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sachin from MGR Research Institute.
Sorry, Sachin, you have not started slideshow yet.
Go to the first slide, Sachin.
Yes, ma'am. It is in the first slide.
I just take
You just give it some time so that it will load and it will start.
Yes. Is it visible?
Not yet.
Okay. Can I share it again?
Yes, please do share it.
Yeah. Okay.
Give it some time, please. Yes, now everything is visible. If you can start the slideshow from the beginning, go to the left-hand side corner.
Yeah, is it visible
beginning.
now? I'm playing it.
It will load. It will load. Wait.
Okay.
Double click on from the beginning.
Sachin, start your slideshow.
Yes, ma'am. I've started it. I'm playing my first slide.
Now it is. Now it got clicked. It should come now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's go ahead. It's not coming as slideshow, doesn't matter. Can we try one more time if you can?
Yes, ma'am. Sure. I'll again put it in
Yes,
the slideshow.
double click. Double click.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I've done it. Can you?
Go to the next one from current slide. Try the next one.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So it is showing some notifications, Sachin. I think if you click, it will start. You just close the notifications.
Yes, ma'am. Is it visible now?
Okay, you go. It's okay.
Screen is visible. But
Screen
it
is
is not
visible.
closing. But that is showing some into mark, no, that you closed that bar.
The pink one and the yellow one. Activate and save. If you close that, then it'll start working.
Okay, once again, I'll stop sharing. Ma'am, can I do it after another speaker? Before that, I'll rectify the issue.
Okay, fine, no issues. We'll call the next speaker. So, Miss Palina, would you like to go next? Miss Palina Galata, would you like to go next?
Yes, but I didn't prepare the slides for me to be able to present. So I don't know if it's fine if I present without slides.
Yeah, it's fine. You want to just have a talk? Okay.
Yes. I am actually supposed to present about the resilience to disruption caused by climate change. And from my research and when I was going through like a lot of materials on the internet, I realized one thing, that we have different initiatives that have been enacted.
Sorry to interrupt. I hear some baby crying. Is it from your side?
Yes, it's from the house.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Thank you. So we'll come back to Ms. Palina, we'll come back to you after some time, or would you like to continue? We'll move ahead with next speaker. If not, Sachin and Ms. Palina. Ms. Palina will come back to you after some time. Definitely, you can settle your things and relax and come back. Doesn't matter. So moving ahead, can we have Janashri? Ms. Janashri? Am I getting your name right? Ms. Janashri? From IGEN? Representing IGEN? Ms. Janashri, are you here? Okay. Can we go to Ms. Lara Nuis? Ms. Lara, are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. So I think we should go ahead with you. Ms. Lara, she's a student in current affairs and she's an enthusiastic. That's what you call yourself, right? And she's going to speak on global effort to reach net zero. And this will be summarized by Dr. Tedimio Adijolu. Thank you.
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much for having me in this platform. It's a really honor to be able to be here sharing ideas. My name is Lara Nunez, and I'm a student from Mexico. I'm a Youth Change Maker Ambassador, and I specialize in history, geography, political science, and geopolitics. So with that kind of like frame, it's the approach that I'm taking today, because I'll be speaking to you about the democratic possibilities of net zero. Now, we all know that net zero is a goal to get CO2 and greenhouse gas emissions as close to zero as possible by 2050. And although this goal has been around for quite some time now, since like the Paris Agreement and the Fifth Assessment Conference in 2013, it is almost 10 years later, and the progress is not where we would have wanted it to be. So in the 28th Conference of Parties, there was a global agreement, and the global leaders agreed that it is a very important topic that we need to talk about, and it's very urgent, because if we do not act now and if we do not reach net zero, then there will be a lot of climatic consequences that will affect the most vulnerable of our planet. However, the policies and the actions that we're taking after the COP28 did not really reflect that urgency or that commitment from all the parties and all the governments. And this is because we are a society that is very heavily reliant on fossil fuels. Our society has been this way ever since the Industrial Revolution 2000 years ago. So the prospect of changing our current economy and the basis of our society to a more sustainable future that is completely different to what we're doing now, the so-called business as usual, it's a very radical idea, I find, that will take very radical change. So I do not oppose to the possibility of this future, of the sustainable future, and I certainly do think it's possible. However, I think that the time frame that we are giving, 30 years, is quite disproportionate compared to how we have built this linear economy ever since, like 2000 years ago. So how can we undo something that has been centuries in the making in 3 decades? That's a really big topic. I find that is really, really important to talk about. And overall, how can governance and how do the governments that are going to get us to net zero are structured, are formed, and can this even be achieved within the democratic governments? So where democracy comes into play, it's because a lot of countries in this day and age are practicing democracy. However, democracy has been severely critiqued in the past by its low response time, meaning that most people argue that democracy can do in 20 years what a dictatorship can do in 5 years. Because if we take from a political approach, a totalitarist government would have a more efficient way of handling this kind of crisis. Like, for example, Alexandre de Tocqueville, who is a French democratic theorist of the 18th century, declared that it is irrefutable that the free peoples are within times of crisis, that they do not show the same energy or the same efficiency towards handling this crisis. So yeah, in general, the democratic states are like severely paced by this love of individual freedoms and individual rights that may not align always with the common will or the common good. Therefore, I think it's very important to think, how can we in a democracy actually achieve net zero? So that's what I'll be talking a little bit about today. That's the problematic, and of course I do not have all the answers. I don't have almost any answer because I'm still a student, and I think this is a very complicated notion to handle. But I do have proposed two solutions that I think that could be pertinent within a democratic government to actually do. The first is a tyranny of a majority. That is a democratic theory concept that was proposed by Jean-Jacques Rousseau in his book, The Social Contract. This basically means that since in a democracy the will of each individual is taken into account, if the common group gets to like a common will or a common idea, then they can establish it as law, more like in a social prospect, and those individuals that do not atone to this law will be excluded and will face social disruptions. However, their individual freedoms will not be compromised. So if we as a society can educate everyone in a democratic government and make them understand how important getting to reach net zero is, enough for them to say, okay, so I'm going to stop using my car every day. I'm going to start doing carpools. I'm going to stop eating meat. If we can get to that point where we're having a low emission life is viewed as a common point or as a social norm or value, then I do think that in more of a social way we can impose this way of living and this way of net zero. Also, the way that we handle the enterprises and reduce consumerism, that's also something that we can achieve with a tyranny of the majority. And in the end, all that social pressure will force those individuals that are still reluctant to do this kind of actions. And that could be one solution. And also another one could be to use the financial system to pressure all the enterprises and favor those that are more towards the green path, so that we can create some kind of green Darwinism where those enterprises that do not adapt to the green transition, they will not survive at the end. So the pressure, the financial pressure, and the pressure to survive as an enterprise will eventually force everyone to do the green transition and to start a more circular economy. These two possibilities may sound a little bit drastic, but considering the time frame and the urgency of the situation, a more slow-paced democratic agreement could be detrimental to our environment, because again, time is the one thing that we do not have. And since in a democracy it's important to take into consideration and into account everybody's opinions and everybody's freedoms and rights, then that can be that can really slow down the process of the green transition and getting to net zero as quickly as we need to. So I think it's a very interesting subject that is worth taking the reflection, and it's worth talking about. As I said, I haven't really seen much of the prospects of political theory mixed with sustainable development often in the internet or in forums or in books, but I think it's extremely important to think how our governments are going to be shaped in the future. How will a sustainable government look like, and how can we handle this crisis? And because in every society, every government has to adapt to their society. So how will a government that is facing the climate crisis and the climate change crisis will look like, or should look like? So I think that's a very interesting topic, and I invite you all to reflect about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Lara. Well, it was a very comprehensive summary. I would say that definitely a call for governments and companies and other organizations to bolster commitments to reach net zero emissions are quite increasingly widespread, and the effects to failing to limit the climatic change becoming more apparent rather. There is an irony going on. Hope everybody will accept with me. May I just request or welcome Dr. Ms. Tadimio Adeloju to summarize Ms. Lara's presentation. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Tadimio? Or any of the other panel of experts who can just take it up. If Mr. Arnesh Srivatsa, would you like to contribute, sir?
No.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that. So, Lara, first of all, great choice of topic and the way that you elucidated it. Starting off with first the comparison between democratic and totalitarian regimes and the time period that it takes, that and the contrast between the individual freedom and what is the possible non-alignment with the common good, whether it is at a country or a region or a global level, right? So these two contrasts to begin with, to me, they were very broad, but they also sort of brought forth some clarity in terms of how you went through. And then most interesting was the concept of green Darwinism applied to corporates or industrial units for that matter, where if they don't keep pace with the requirements which are set forth in the form of instruments like policies or laws based on the national or the subnational or regional levels, then they fade out. So I mean, it's pretty much a great parallel, taking drawing from the nature theory and implementing it in the path for net zero. So I mean, I really found that example very interesting personally. And I mean, yeah, definitely, like you said, towards the conclusion, this is something which is a common thread, right? Like we are all here from different parts of the world joining today. So this topic is such that it impacts everyone, no matter where, which country you are, which sort of regime you are in. It at least elicits a reflection, like Lara said. So with that, I'll conclude the summary.
I would
Thank
like
you.
to add
Thank you.
something. Is it possible to add something?
Yes, please, dear, please. Thank you.
Very quickly, very quickly. First of all, I want to congratulate you, Lara, because it was very provocative. I think when we step out of our comfort zone and we start thinking differently is when we actually find solutions. So congratulations on that. You're so young, and I think that was a very mature way of posing the problem. I just want to remind us that we just went through a global urgent situation with the pandemic, and somehow we are still here. So, there were many things that happened in democratic countries that happened quickly, that they were swiftly, that we put ourselves to think together. So, based on what you said and what you brought to our attention and how provocative the thoughts are, I think we can actually, as a planet, convene together and find solutions, just like we did with the pandemic. I don't think the pandemic was perfect, but I think it was a great practice for what's really going to happen now. So thank you for bringing that. And I really love the fact that you went out there and you brought us some different ideas and different ways to think. So thank you, and I congratulate you.
Thank you, Dr. Virginia. Yes, definitely, as we all agree on this platform, as climatic crisis is a global threat, and the world needs to find global solutions by committing to support the developing countries' efforts to mitigate and adapt to climatic change. On that note, we have the next speaker who has come up. May I present before you Kagiso Gomane, who is a youth hub manager, who is a change driver, who is a facilitator, who is representing Advance Academy, Rankua Foundation, and who is a partner representative of ESFN, who is going to speak on resilience to disruption caused by the climatic change. Mr. Kagiso, hope you're ready. Good to go with you? Yes.
Hi everyone.
Welcome, sir. Please.
Thank you. I'm from South Africa, so I'll be touching on resilience on climate change. So I just want to mention something that took place last year in South Africa. So last year we experienced floods in South Africa, whereby we lost close to 25 people. And then some, even now, they are not yet found. They are still searching for them. And before that, we also had an incident whereby many people died because of floods in South Africa. So I think as global, as countries and as developing countries, we need to hold hands and ensure that we assist those who are struggling to be resilient when it comes to climate change. So what happened when things like that took place in South Africa is that civic organizations came together and assisted, because some of the people lost their documents like ID, passport. So the organizations helped and ensured that they also provide food for those that have lost everything, because even houses got demolished. So the resilience from the organizations in South Africa that assisted the people who were affected by climate change, it showed me that as nations we need to hold hands and ensure that we work together, because some of these things they are natural. No one can predict that they will be experiencing something like this in the near future. So as young people, we need to ensure that we go to schools and ensure that we educate young people about climate change. because in the future, young people are the ones who will be taking over, and then they need to at least know what to do when they experience climate change in their countries. So the resilience that organizations showed, like, it really gave me a drive, and then this year I'll be going to schools. I'm targeting 20 schools in South Africa, and then I'm targeting primary schools, whereby I'll be educating young people what to do when they experience floods in their communities. Because in South Africa, for today, for example, in the morning it was raining, and then now it's hot, and then later on it might be windy. So this climate change, it's a serious issue, and it needs to be taken care of. And then also information needs to be shared on platforms like social media, so that more people get to know what to do when they're experiencing climate change. That is the only brief submission that I had for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Kagiso. Thanks for mentioning about the inferences from South Africa. Well, on resilience factor, we do have one more speaker who's going to join us on this podium. May I request Dr. Shahid Adebisi? Dr. Shahid, Professor Dr. Shahid Adebisi, to summarize Mr. Kagiso Guname. Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you so much. I think what Doctor has said, I don't actually have the caption of the whole expression, but I think the point that he has made from the cases that he has narrated is very, very critical to this very discussion. And I guess that like the former summary expert have said, that most of these very cases are actually going to lead us to the solution that we can actually push forward for solving this global issue, especially when we are talking about the focus of the net zero. So I think along the discussion, we are still going to have more of these very case references and also solutions towards resolving the issue of the global problems against the net zero target. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Moving ahead, may I take this opportunity to welcome Ms. Armina. She had a problem with the internet, but still she managed to join. Again, I think there was a problem. So we will go ahead with that. And whenever Ms. Armina is going to join, we'll just take her on the leader. Thank you so much. Moving ahead, we have the next speaker, Mr. Alyasa Anas. Alyasa Anas, who's going to speak on standards for net zero emissions and pledges. Mr. Anas, hope you're ready. Yes. So he's the Legal Trade and Collections member and representing European Society of Radiologists, and he's a partner representative of JSFN. Thank you, Mr. Anas, joining us on this forum.
Thank you so much.
Can you please make your video visible?
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir. If you have anything to present, you can share your screen and you can go ahead.
Okay, I did not make it a PowerPoint.
Okay, no issues. No issues. And may I request Professor Adebisi to summarize Mr. Anas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, respected speakers. Good afternoon, my leaders in the house. Good afternoon, my co-colleagues. I'm here to present on the standard for net zero pledges. So I will start my statement by the statement of Secretary General. He said, that the truth that more and more business are making zero commitment, but the benchmark and criteria are often dubious and murky. The Secretary General said to the business leaders gathered at the World Economic Forum. So it feeds a culture of climate misinformation and confusion, and leaves the door open to greenwashing, he added. So now, in the global pursuit of combating climate change, the net zero emission pledges have become pivotal. However, to ensure credibility and effectiveness, standards must be established. This presentation delves into the importance of such standards and outlines key considerations. So, ensuring credibility, establishing standard criteria that pledges are genuine and not merely symbolic gestures. Now, we consider facilitating accountability, standards enabling environment verification and enforcement of commitment, fostering transparency, standardization, promotes transparency in emission reduction strategies and progress tracking. Now, what are the key components of these standards? Now, we have a time frame. Normally, we said that by 2050, we make a commitment. By 2050, we need to make the emission to be very, very accommodating for our planet, right? Now we have to set that time frame. We need to adhere to the time frame. Then the scope. Now we need to establish the scope of all those things. Then we should be reporting requirements. So international coordination among nations to align standards and foster consistency and facilitate global emission reductions. Then role of international organizations like the UNFCCC and IPCC play a crucial role in setting guidelines and facilitating collaborations. And addressing disparities that ensures that the standards accommodate varying capabilities and responsibility of countries, particularly developing countries. Now, what are the challenges we are facing? Then, like ensuring compliance with the standard to create a robust monitoring, enforcement mechanism, and consequences for non-compliance. So we need to strategize a way we can enforce this commitment. Then the technological advancement. Standard must adapt to evolving technological and scientific advancement to remain relevant and effective. Now, conclusion. Standards for net zero emission pledges are essential for credibility, accountability, and transparency. Call to action. Encourage stakeholders to actively participate in development and adaptation of global standards. Commitment to sustainability. Emphasize the collective responsibility in achieving net zero emission and the pivotal role of standard framework in this endeavor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anas. May I request Dr. Professor to summarize Mr. Anas' delivery? Thank you.
Yes, I think the speaker actually make a very brief summary of what he has in mind to actually contribute to this very topic. But let me put it in the order of technicality that, as it has been observed in the statement read by him, that most of these very statements and the commitment from the part of the parties from the companies are actually like, it looks like a dress window statements. And the technicality around this is what everybody is actually concerned about. The concern about it is that how transparent are these very commitments, and also how are they going to hold them accountable? And to actually do that, there is need to actually set some standard to technically measure, and to measure there is need for technology that can do that, and that very technology must be relevant and accurate, and also be able to show the pointer that what are the level of compliance, which are very, very critical and very, very complex to actually dictate or to actually determine. And he has mentioned that enforcement mechanism to also be aligned with all these critical issues. And finally, he closed by saying that not only that, even from the commitment and all the concerns, that the parties from the companies and also the country must take responsibility to actually live up to what the global needs is all about, because it is the responsibility of everybody to be sincere and be ready to commit their efforts to see that the planet is safer and the humanity is rescued. I think that is the aspect that I would like to mention about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much. May I please welcome Ms. Armina?
Thank you so much, my dear Shividia. I'm so sorry for my late. And
It's okay.
my
It's
connection
okay.
is not good. I'm out. I come. I'm out. But always with you all. Always with you all.
Thank you. Thank you, dear. Let me go ahead. Yes, dear. I'll
Yes.
continue.
Maybe I will need help a little with the speakers. Let me see if Mr. Sarkar Tanvir Ahmed.
No, we should continue with Mr. Sachin because he was stopped in between. So we'll go back to Mr. Sachin.
Video call. Mr. Sacha, please. Are you there?
Mr. Sachin?
Yes, ma'am.
So we can go ahead with you, Mr. Sachin.
Mr. Sachin is student for MGR Educational and Research Institute, and he will talk about invest in carbon markets. Summarize will be done by Dr. Lakshmi. Good luck, Sachin. It's all okay?
Sachin will be summarized by Dr. Lakshmi.
Yes. If you can open your camera.
Yes. Am I visible?
Not yet.
You need to unpin yourself.
I think maybe some problem with connection.
Is the slides visible?
Yeah, your slide visible, Sachin.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's moving correctly. Okay.
Yes. I'll play from the beginning. Is it visible now?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
visible. You can.
It's just wonderful. Please go ahead, Mr. Sachin. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Sachin from Dr. MGR Institute, and I'm from BTech CSC department. So, I'm here to talk about invest in carbon markets. So, these are the contents that I'm going to cover. What are carbon markets? Why to invest in carbon markets? Market size and growth, investments, risks and challenges, future outlook, and conclusion. Now, what is a carbon market? Carbon markets are platforms for trading carbon credits, allowing business to buy and sell permits for greenhouse gas emissions. These markets incentivize emission reduction and play a crucial role in transition to a low carbon economy. Now, is it new? No. It has been there since 1997, but has gained significant prominence in the late 20th century and has continued to evolve. Now, why invest in carbon markets? Now, these are the various factors which play as a upper hand for why we should invest in carbon markets. Starting with the environmental impact, that is like By investing in projects that reduce or remove greenhouse gas emissions, you contribute to global efforts in combating climate change and promoting environmental sustainability. And the economic opportunities, carbon markets provide opportunities for financial gains through the trading of carbon credits or invest in low carbon technologies and projects. And the regulatory compliance. Financial returns like carbon markets provide opportunities for financial gain. Once again, sorry. Yes, the investing in carbon markets can help companies meet regulatory requirements related to carbon emissions, avoiding penalties and ensuring compliance with environmental regulations. I'll skip to the next slide because it's more important. Now, what are carbon credits? Now, carbon credits have like 4 steps, and this is how it works. Emission cutting projects. So companies do things that reduce or remove greenhouse gases, like planting trees or using clean energy. And then the verification. Independent groups check and confirm that the emission reductions are real and meet certain standards. And then they issue the credits. That is, the projects get carbon credits. For every ton of emission they cut, 1 credit, 1 ton less of carbon dioxide. And then buying and selling happens. Other companies or individuals buy these credits to offset their own emissions and support the eco-friendly projects. Now, I'll show you some real-life examples of many big companies, what they are doing and how they play a part in this. Coming to Amazon, Amazon's net zero commitment, a visionary environmental initiative, charts a course for the company to achieve net zero carbon emission globally by 2040. This ambitious goal is underpinned by substantial investments in sustainable technology, renewable energy projects, and nature-based solutions. Amazon is at the forefront of innovation, redefining its delivery fleet with electrical vehicles and implementing eco-friendly packaging solutions to significantly reduce its carbon footprint. And then the other example is Microsoft. Microsoft will be carbon negative by 2030. By 2050, Microsoft will remove from the environment all the carbon the company has emitted either directly or by electrical consumption since it was founded in 1975. Now, to talk about the history of the carbon market, the Kyoto Protocol in 1997. As I said, this is there from 1997. Groundbreaking international agreement addressing climate change and introduced emission trading, allowing countries to buy and sell emission allowance, establishing the Clean Development Mechanism (CDM) to promote sustainable development and emissions reduction projects in developing countries. And then in 2005, we had another launch. Europe Union's emissions trading system (EU ETS) became operational. Introduced cap and trade for major industries, encouraging emission reductions, set a mark for carbon markets, globally influencing future initiatives. And then comes in 2010 the Cancun Agreements. What is this? Outcome of the UN Climate Change Conference in Cancun, Mexico, emphasized the importance of market-based mechanisms for mitigating climate change, recognized volunteer cooperation alongside government-driven efforts. In 2013, California Cap and Trade. California initiated a comprehensive cap and trade program, the first of its kind in the United States. It is designed to limit greenhouse gas emissions from major industries, demonstrated leadership in the absence of federal mandates. And then comes one of the important China's national ETS. Now, China launched its national carbon market, the largest in the world, initially covering the power sector with plans of expansion. China's commitment to emission reduction and global leadership in market events have played a major role. And then, market size and growth. Now, in market size and growth, these 4 factors play a major role, like the government regulations, corporate commitments, and international agreements and innovation and technology. These play a very important role. And when we are speaking about the innovation and technology, advancements in carbon capture technologies and other emission reduction methods contribute to the growth of the market by creating new opportunities for carbon projects. And then now I'm showing you the top 3 countries with the highest carbon emission. And why is China on the top? Certainly, China holds the distinction of being the world's foremost carbon emitter, primarily attributed to its economic growth. Extensive reliance on coal, urbanization, significant manufacturing output, and its large population. But China is actively addressing this challenge. The nation is strategically investing in sustainable solutions with a focus on renewable energy and the promotion of electrical vehicles. Demonstrating a commitment to environmental responsibility, China has set ambitious targets to peak carbon emissions by 2030. And then comes the United States. The United States, historically a major contributor to global carbon emission, has faced scrutiny due to factors such as industrial activities, fossil fuels dependence, and a large transportation sector. While economic growth has historically been linked to increased emission, recent years have been seen a shift in focus. The US is actively working to reduce its carbon footprint through policy initiatives, investments in renewable energy, and a growing emphasis on sustainability. And then in the third place is India. Now, India, as a rapidly developing nation with a vast and diverse economy, has faced challenges related to carbon emissions from growing industries. And the reliance on coal for energy production, transportation sector, and large population has been some of the factors. But despite these challenges, India has actively taken steps to address its carbon footprint. The country has made significant investments in renewable energy sources such as solar and wind power, aiming to diversely act on its energy mix and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Additionally, initiatives promoting energy efficiency and the adoption of electric vehicles are gaining traction. Now, this is the future outlook. Now, with the driving global commitments, challenges and adjustments, technological innovations and demand, and the corporate sustainability goals, and the global events and policies, with all the raising demands and all these factors, I believe investing in carbon market is one of the good things that we can do. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Dr. Lakshmi, please, if you can summarize the presentation of Sachin.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
1 second, ma'am. Sachin, a wonderful presentation you have given about the investment in carbon markets, which is very present need in our in this situation. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, Dr.
Yes,
Lakshmi.
ma'am, you are audible.
Yes,
Please go ahead.
you are audible. Visible and
So,
audible.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. He has told why we are investing on carbon market, what is the need, how the market price has been increasing, size has been increasing gradually, and the investments and the risk challenges, and he has given some practical information. And in the future outlook, he has explained about the countries where this has been taking place. What is a carbon market, he has explained, and investments depending upon the environmental impact and the market diversification. What is a global collaboration because of this carbon market? What is the main thing is what is the financial return who those who are investing their money in the carbon market, and how the innovation technology is getting improved. And also he explained about the risk management, how we have to overcome those risks, and yes, he explained that in very good manner, and also the regulatory compliances, and what are the carbon credits, what are the credits we can get because of this carbon emission, reduction of carbon emission. And as I have already told you, he has explained about the practical examples like Amazon and Microsoft, like that. And finally, he has explained about the history from where it has started from 1997 to till date 2023 in a very good manner, and the market size and the growth starting from the government regulation, corporate commitments and international agreement, what are the agreements to be done, and finally the innovation technology, how it takes place. And also he has explained what are the countries in the rating, carbon emission rating. He said that China is at the outmost rate, first place, and the United States in the second place, and our India in the third place. And finally, he has explained about the impact of this, the strength, weakness, and the opportunities and the threat of this carbon emission, which is a very, very need for this present situation. Thank you, Sachin, and all the very best for this research work in their future work.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lakshmi.
Can I just add
yes,
something?
Yes, please.
Sachin, nice presentation. Just 2-3 points I wanted to add. Since you've gone to the history part of it, how this came about, so something that is worth exploring is that the CDM, the carbon credits basically came from the Clean Development Mechanism, and the expected transition from CDM to SDM. That it's just an interesting exploration which will throw some light on, how international negotiations or policy making sort of convalesces. So that transition. And second thing is investing in carbon credits, yes, globally as well as even within India also, we'll be seeing much more of it now. But the thing is, one common point that always comes when carbon credits are there is that corporates are using it as a mechanism to not really reduce their overall emissions. They are just sort of offsetting it from some other project, right? So something that is being done, let's say in another country, probably in one of our African countries, they will take up some project and the carbon is offset. But then what happens to the overall reduction part? So somewhere exploring that balance is another interesting thing, because to prevent the misuse of this mechanism by corporates, which is quite another always a tricky topic whenever carbon credits are discussed. So something that even like Sachin can explore. I just wanted to add in the future.
Sure, sir. We will guide him to explore over this, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That was a very brilliant suggestion, sir. Thank you so much. In the course of this session, like we missed Miss Palina Kurata. Miss Palina, if she's ready, she can take up. Miss Palina Kurata.
Hi, Doctor.
Yes.
Hi, Doctor. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. Please go ahead, ma'am. Yeah, would you like to present now?
Yes, can I be brief, because it seems my son is not well, so he's crying non-stop.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I was supposed to
with a little introduction, please. Sorry. Ma'am is a diplomat from United Nations Institute for Research. She's a speaker at World Investment Forum, and she's a partner representative from GSFN. Ma'am will be summarized by Dr. S.O. Adibisi. And she's going to talk upon resilience to the disruption caused by climate change. Please go ahead, Ms. Palina. Thank you. It's a pleasure having you here on board with us. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. I just did a bit of research about the resilience actions that are done in Botswana towards climate change. And also I want to know that one of the key things that I normally advocate for is normally education, so that the young people are the ones that are spearheading the actions that are bettering our economy, that are bettering our environment for sustainability, so that in the long run, whatever that the government may be going back to try to do for the nation, then at least the young people are the pioneers of those changes. So here in Botswana, the government of Botswana has come up with different strategies that are part of the resilience initiatives towards climate change adverse effects. And one of them was to protect some of the key tourist areas where the wildlife of Botswana is protected, and also some species that were finishing or declining in numbers. And then also we do have the community-based activities whereby awareness about different climate activities are done by certain organizations, non-governmental organizations, and also from my part as a young person and also as a young leader through UNESCO, I was planning that during this year from January up until June, we go into schools and we try to individualize the feeling of climate change in Botswana, because we got to realize that not many people understand what climate change is and the effects that are actually affecting our daily lives in the current era. So the first topic, like I was saying, is individualization of the concept of climate change and how it has affected us, because there are some areas whereby we have water crisis. So in order for us to be able to deal with that, or maybe to map the preventative measures so that we position ourselves so that the problem does not continue reoccurring in our daily lives and at the end of the day disturbing even our rights to be able to live. I deal with young people and that are running like non-governmental organizations from those areas. Then we encourage them to create more awareness about water saving techniques that can be implemented, saving every drop, and also for them to know that every drop counts, and also the management through different the Khotla meeting setups, whereby now they take the viewpoints and they present about their experiences to different setups of people at the Khotla meeting, which is normally where the chief or the headman, they call the village people for them to sit down and to try to navigate through what is actually affecting the lives of the people of the area. So that's how we are also trying to create advocacy here in Botswana. And then also through the innovative approaches to address climate change. There is a new lead by the president of Botswana that creates more eagerness for Botswana to be able to take part on the issues that are affecting different countries globally. And COP meetings being one of the meetings that young people were encouraged to register to be able to participate so that we may learn and be capacitated and also to be sensitized on climate change issues. And also with that, it has given us the platform for us to be able to engage with other young people globally and also to get to understand how climate change has affected different countries, because the way climate change effects are in Botswana is certainly different from the way they are from Dubai, is certainly different from the way they are from South Africa. So we are at an introductory stage here in Botswana, whereby now the key thing is education, is sensitization and better capacitation of climate change and its adverse effects in our daily lives, also as part of the global village. So, and then the other thing was funding. Funding with regard to resilience, it has to be through a communal approach, through the regional setup. So if South Africa, for instance, is given, let's say, 2 billion to be able to deal with the natural disaster problems that they have, even Botswana may be having certain things because they're part of SADC together. Even Namibia may be dealing with the after effects of climate change. So I advocate for a rationalized funding for our continent, for our country, also in consideration to other SADC member states, so that we all combat the effects of climate change within our region. And then also I realized that many are times that the United Nations strategies to be able to combat different global problems, climate change being one of them, you get to see that we'll be having initiatives like the Paris Agreement, we'll be having initiatives that are spearheaded by UNFCCC, by Climate Action, and also what you are doing also, Dr. But many a times that the implementations of such initiatives and strategies, they are done and monitored at an intergovernmental level. So sometimes I was feeling that as the young people from different regions, from different countries and from different continents, there should be an establishment of different setup of platforms whereby we are natural to be able to voice what we actually are feeling in our countries, and also ultimately being able to raise to a populated or a better done research about climate change effects in our continent, because now every young person from every country in Africa will present their issues, will present how they are trying to combat such issues. And then now when we get to the COP meetings, when we get to all those high standard meetings whereby the different issues are being deliberated, then every young person's voice has been heard. And then now we can now look into the better things of making sure that our policies, they cater for everyone at every level, at any state, at any country, or even at any continent. So I do really believe that education is key in terms of capacitation and sensitizations of resilience towards climate change. So this is all I can just say for now. Thank you.
That was a mind-blowing delivery, Ms. Polina. We should really congratulate you for that. And despite all odds, like a baby making sounds there, a baby with you, really we could see the passion of which has come out in your words and your thoughts. Thank you so much. May I welcome Dr. Adebisi to do the summary. Thank you so much.
Yes, I think I am motivated by what the speaker just said. And I had to just summarize that she was also actually talking from experience from Botswana. Botswana in Africa is from the southern part of Africa, and most of the land in the ecosystem there is arid, and also the heat waves, they're also prone to flood, and they're also prone to agricultural deficiency management, and because of the ecosystem, and also like I said, that it is from experience that she was actually talking. And she has mentioned that education was actually what the government was actually recommending, because awareness is very key. People cannot be caught unaware when you are aware of what is coming on your way. So the resilience started from education, like she has said, and also stakeholder participation. When everybody is taking part, there is little that the impact is going to have much effect on them. And she also talked about the advocacy that everybody is actually going from different levels, schools, markets, and everywhere to educate each and every one of them. Then she mentioned funding. Funding was actually a concern when it comes to the activities to actually respond and also adapt to the issues that are affecting that very state. And even most African countries that are vulnerable to this very climate change impact. But I want to add some little aspect of what I think community can do, like the infrastructure that are climate smart, like the road construction and also the sanitation. These are what human beings can actually partake in, that can prepare them ahead of that very impact. And also there is another climate smart agriculture. It is very, very important that the kind of agriculture that will be put in place to be the one that can withstand the issue or the impact of the climate change when it happens. And also another thing is forestry. I think there is a strategic species of a plant that's needed to be planted in such kind of an area, not only to actually withstand the impact, but actually to contribute to how they can also prevent the emission. Maybe the species that will be absorbing some of these very carbon from the atmosphere and also contributing to the, and even government can bank on that to actually trade the carbon trade absorption, and there's something to also get funding from such kind of thing. And the last thing is that emergency response is very, very important, because if a country is vulnerable, definitely it can come anytime. But emergency response training is very, very important, because if it happens, how are people going to respond and to be rescued? And that is very, very important. And on that note, I really appreciate the speaker, and these are the wonderful summary that I can put across. Thank you.
Can I add
Thank you,
something?
Doctor.
Can I add something, Dr. Shavidia?
Please, Dr. Virginia, please.
Okay, so I think that one of the biggest things that we saw today with Polina and participating in the resilience factor for climate change is the fact that she is a woman, she is a mother, and she made it a point to participate. We were all open to letting her participate quickly. We heard her baby crying, and I think many times that half of the population does not participate because they have other caretaking initiatives. And I think it was incredibly poignant today that this young woman that is so on top and so on point and everything that she said, that she's talking from experience, but she's also talking about future and talking about the young really spearheading the changes. The fact that she's a mother, she is there, she is active, and she is so involved really shows that we need to continue to open in gender specifics, the space for women. Studies show that when women are in boardrooms and when women are leading in the climate change, we do much better. This is not me coming up. This is actually real studies. So I thought it was really beautiful that all this happened. And I wanted to make sure that we all understood and we were cognizant that this is a mother with a child that is super smart and that is really able to contribute. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Virginia, and thank you, ma'am. That was a wonderful presentation. As Dr. Virginia was mentioning, as Dr. Adebisi was mentioning, we could see that you are speaking it from your heart, and it's not that you're picking it from the internet or giving references. It was a very, very soulful presentation indeed for today's topic. Thank you so much. Well, moving ahead with net zero, for one such pointer, right decarbonization targets, our speakers are not able to present themselves. I repeat the topic once again, right decarbonization targets. We open this particular topic, this pointer, to the forum. If anybody would like to present, we would like to give this opportunity to any of the impromptu speaker who can chip in and cover the gap, cover the space. Right decarbonization target is open to the forum, and anybody is welcome to speak on that towards the end. Thank you so much. Moving ahead, Ms. Armina, over to Madam Armina to welcome the next speaker on board. Thank you.
I am here, my dear. It's my pleasure to welcome Prajita. She is HGC College of Engineer and Technology student, and her topic is the global effort to reach net zero. Welcome, Prajita.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
You're very audible, and your video has to open. We'd like to see you.
No, ma'am.
Yes, we are able to see you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, the picture is getting blurred. Have some other backdrop. Maybe the picture is not working with you well. Now it's better.
Okay, ma'am.
You can share your presentation.
Here's some network problem, ma'am.
Steve, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
You can stop your video.
I will be consulting, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks for that. Pratija, you can stop your video. Start your presentation, please.
Okay, ma'am.
Prajita, you're having two devices with you. The other one is echoing. So you need to mute either of that. One of this.
Oh, ma'am, I have one.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
You can start sharing your screen.
Ma'am, is it visible?
It's not.
Your screen is not visible.
Yeah, you share your presentation in the chat box, please. We will present it for you. One of us will take turns and present it so that you can elaborate on that content.
It's not
loading because of your internet problem, Pratija.
Prajita. Prajita, please share your content.
Prajita, you load your.
Ma'am, I share to your WhatsApp, ma'am.
You share to my WhatsApp? My
Yes,
WhatsApp?
ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Can we move ahead to the next speaker? By the time I'll be ready with Ms. Prajita. The next speaker.
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
Martha is not there. Prajita. And we have the other speaker. There was another speaker from IGEN. Who's the other one?
Janasri.
Jenny. Yeah, exactly. Miss Amina. Miss Amina.
My dear, I try to find Janashri.
Janashri not there? Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh,
Can you?
great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you ready for presentation, ma?
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready for the presentation.
Okay, ma. Okay.
Working.
Is my screen visible to everybody?
Yes, visible, ma.
Yeah, okay. It's amazing how many things you can do when you're just pretending.
But first of all, let me, my dear, to welcome you.
Yeah,
Janashri is coordinator IGEN Army Tata Consultancy Services, and she will talk. She will have the topic greenwashing to net zero. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you so much, Shirmi. Good evening, everybody gathered here. I'm Janashri, working in Azure Consulting Services and representing the IGEN today, presenting you on the theme of the road to net zero. Do you know that today's market is just pretending to be true and not actually true? We have seen a lot of products in the market, and these are adorned with the leaves or the earth symbol or attractive phrases like 100% natural or environmentally responsible. But have you ever questioned that are they really natural or are they genuinely eco-friendly? The answer is no. We are going to dive deep into the world of greenwashing and explore the crucial journey from the false claims to the genuine practices. Greenwashing is a practice where companies project an image of being environmentally conscious while engaging in the practices that harm our planet. The word greenwashing was coined in 1980s by environmentalist Jay Weisfeld. He noticed the contradiction between these seemingly eco-friendly gestures and the broader unsustainable practices. It's like a garden with vibrant flowers on the surface, but underneath invasive weeds choking the life. It describes the deceptive practices companies employed to appear environmentally responsible without making the real changes. Let's take an example. A bottled water company proudly displaying the images of pristine mountains and clean water sources on their labels, claiming to be the epitome of environmental purity. However, behind the scenes, they contribute to the plastic pollution crisis, which by using these single-use packaging materials and that harm the marine life and litter our oceans. So why we need to talk about greenwashing now? Greenwashing hinders the genuine efforts towards the sustainability. It's essential to distinguish between the genuine environmentally friendly initiatives and the mere marketing tactics. By exposing the deceptive practices, consumers and advocacy groups can pressurize the companies to adopt more sustainable practices and contribute to meaningfully environmental conservation. Understanding greenwashing empowers the consumers to make informed choices, which drives a positive change in the marketplace. Companies understand that consumers are actively seeking products and services that align with the values of sustainability and environmental responsibility. The consequences are profound because it misleads the consumer who genuinely want to make the responsible choices. There are a lot of tactics followed in today's market and betray the consumers. The common tactic are: imagine a soap labeled as eco-friendly or green, but the actual details are vague or conspicuously absent. This allows the companies to capitalize on the green trend without committing to the substantial environmental friendly practices. The second common tactic is that usage of irrelevant certifications. Certifications are powerful symbols of authenticity, but some companies exploit this. Imagine this: a snack proudly displaying a certified gluten-free batch. While this certification holds value for gluten-sensitive products and it's present on a snack product, makes no sense. Fair trade certifications are typically associated with the agricultural products to ensure the fair wages and the ethical practices. Placing this certification on a clothing or example of electronics could be of a deceptive thing. The third common tactic is that involving a spotlight on small eco-friendly features while downplaying more significant environmental concerns. Picture this as the new compostable straws or as a step towards sustainability, yet overlooking the excessive single-use packaging. The second example could be of a car manufacturer company emphasizing the use of recycled materials in their vehicles while ignoring the significant carbon emissions from their manufacturing plants. So what are the ways to stay vigilant or to escape from this trap? When confronted with vague language of being green or eco-friendly, it's time to dig deeper. Environmentally responsible companies provide specific details about their sustainable practices. For instance, a laundry detergent claiming to be eco-friendly should specify how it reduces the water usage, or how it uses the biodegradable ingredients, or how it employs the eco-friendly packaging. Certifications can be the powerful indicators of authenticity, but they need to be relevant to the product and industry and verify that certifications make sense to everybody. When a product asserts 100% natural without detailing what that means or how it's being achieved, skepticism is warranted. The road to net zero is the heart of the journey. Imagine our planet on a delicate scale where one side we have the greenhouse gases emitted into the atmosphere, and on the other side, the mechanisms actively removing those gases. Achieving net zero means finding the equilibrium where the amount of greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere is counteracted by the equivalent amount of being removed. Some say that net zero is not possible, but we should revert by saying that net zero is necessary. Achieving net zero, on the other hand, requires the concrete actions. Consider a renewable energy company claiming to be the path to net zero. Their commitment goes beyond the marketing tactics. They invest in the cutting-edge technologies to reduce their operational emissions, transitioning to the renewable energy sources. Simultaneously, they also actively engage in the reforestation projects to observe the unavoidable residual emissions. This company is not just greenwashing, they are making the tangible contributions towards a net zero future. What are steps towards authentic sustainability? The first common thing is the transparency. Transparency becomes the cornerstone of the authenticity. By openly sharing the information, the companies build trust, create a culture of honesty and responsibility. Consider a tech company releasing an annual environmental report. The comprehensive document builds the trust among everybody, and it helps to encourage the companies like that. The next important thing is the innovation. Innovation is the engine driving the sustainability forward. It involves a commitment of exploring and implementing the cutting-edge technologies. Imagine a fashion brand that embraces the innovation in its pursuit of sustainability instead of relying on the traditional manufacturing process with high environmental cost. By pushing the boundaries of the conventional practices, they redefine what's possible in the fashion industry, reducing their ecological footprint. Imagine a world where consumers become the active agents of change. That is the era of consumer empowerment, where informed choices become the tools for transforming the industries. By understanding the nuances of the greenwashing, consumers are equipped to discern between the empty promises to genuine efforts towards the sustainability. Consider a scenario where a consumer decides to purchase fully locally sourced or sustainably produced groceries. This seemingly simple choice has a ripple effect. It supports the local farmers, reduces the carbon emissions, and promotes the sustainable agricultural practices. The consumer becomes a key player in fascinating the healthier, more resilient food system. It's a call to action that beckons us towards a future where the authenticity of sustainability trims over the deceptive green facade. Let's move beyond the illusion. It's better to put forward that let's move beyond the green illusion and embrace the authenticity. It's a plea for individuals, businesses, communities, and all over the people in the world to collectively work towards a net zero sustainable future. Let's stride purposefully towards a future where our choices echo in the resilience of our planet. It is not just a concluding slide, but it's a call to arms where every individual is a change maker committed to dismantling the illusions and fostering a reality where sustainability is not just a goal, but a shared, thriving commitment. Thank you, everybody who are gathered here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jnanashri. Janashri. Am I getting your name right? Janashri, right?
Janashri, ma'am.
Janashri. Brilliant. No wonder you're coordinator for YJIN ARIME Tata Consultant Services. Brilliant it was. And definitely it's a call to the world. We could see the way that you've covered the whole topic of greenwashing to net zero. And definitely, I've got two people who volunteered themselves to summarize on that, and then I will take it up if time is there. May I request Dr. Zahira or Dr. Lakshmi to do the summary, following which Mr. Arvind Srivatsa would like to add on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Srividya.
Yes.
Really a wonderful presentation at present, which is a need. Janashri, ma'am. Janashri, thank you very much. On behalf of IJN, you have given a wonderful presentation, the road to net zero greenwashing. So you have explained what is greenwashing and how it is useful for the environment, starting from eco contradiction and why we are going for this talk. What is the need for this talk? You have explained in a very good manner, and why we are going for greenwashing. By greenwashing, what happens? We are making the response of the consumer, and we are developing we are developing the greenwashing tactics. You have explained about the basic languages and the relevant certifications we overall making, and also in a car, how you are highlighting the minor sustainable aspects. How you explain in a car how the green energy can be implemented. So you have shown it in a very good way. And to be a vigilant, what are the things we have to do? First, we have to go for specific, and we have to verify the certification, and then we have to ask the questions to them. And how the road to net zero happens, starting from it is our responsibility to make it a net zero and a green energy area. So what are the there's a real contribution which we can make, and authentic sustainability it should be a transparent one, and how the steps to be taken out. Consumer has to go for green revolution, and we have to go for net zero carbon emission. And finally, you have told that it is a battle that we all have to work together to bring the green energy to the society, and each and every individual has a responsibility to make a green energy environment. Very good presentation, ma. All the very best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, and thank you, Janashri. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you here, and definitely would like to have you for the other sessions. Mr. Arvind Srivatsa, sir, would you like to contribute more on that greenwashing? I just looked up your message.
Yes.
Yes, please, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, doctor. So yeah, first of all, very well structured and good flow for the presentation. So the good thing was, I mean, as participants or general understanding, the one very good thing that she has done is for each topic she had smaller relevant case studies or scenarios that she has correlated. So that makes it easier for anyone who is looking up the topic. And one interesting thing regarding the consumer awareness, looking into specifics, as Lakshmi ma'am was also mentioning, there are two statements which are always there. It is said that devil is in the details when it concerns business activities, and then in general we say God is in the details. But the common denominator being details. So we have to look into the details, the specifics, the eco labels, all of which you gave examples for. And another thing, just to add, Janashri, for your further explanation, since you took up some consumer goods and you also mentioned innovation, so you can look into already practices that are being implemented for in terms of sustainable packaging or alternate materials that companies are taking up. I mean, you can take a simple example of Tata 1mg. Nowadays, if you you can look at the packaging. Those are all recycled and reused materials, which another startup is supplying to them, which has done the innovation part. So that is one. And second thing is, for the larger process part that you mentioned, innovation over there, you can probably explore the concept of industrial symbiosis, which is like a subset of circular economy. So larger core sectors like steel, cement, and all of this, that is where the symbiosis is applicable, and the emissions or material or resource savings are exponential as per that concept. Right. So with that, thank you, ma'am, for giving me a chance to add. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Hope Ms. Prajita is ready. Ms. Prajita. And by the time, I've got one more.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, dear. One second. Dr. Adivasi will be covering the topic on decarbonization targets after Prajita. Thank you so much. Thank you, Doctor. Thanks for that last minute, Jubin. Thank you. Prajita, Dr. Zahira ma'am, are you going to share the screen?
I will be sharing, ma'am. Shall I share, ma'am?
Yeah. Ms. Armina, would you like to welcome Prajita?
For sure. It's my pleasure to welcome Prajita. Prajita is student, GST College, Engineering and Technology, and she will talk about the global effort to reach net zero. Welcome, dear Prajita.
Yes, Prajita, please go ahead.
Good, it's visible.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening to you.
Continue, dear. You don't need to on your video. Your picture is enough. Just continue, please.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening to one and all present here. I'm Prajita from JCT College of Engineering and Technology, pursuing bachelor's in Electrical and Electronic Engineering. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving this opportunity, and I'm glad to attend the iGen Partner COP 2030 Youth Ministry Renewable Energy Talk. I'm here to talk about the global efforts to make net zero. First, we can see about what is net zero actually. Global net zero emission describes the state where emissions of carbon dioxide due to human activities and removals of these gases are in balance over a given period. It is often called simply net zero. Net zero emission will be achieved when all emissions released by human activities are counterbalanced by all removing carbon from the atmosphere in a process known as carbon removal. Achieving net zero will require a two-part approach. First and foremost, human caused emission should be reduced as close to zero as possible. Any remaining emissions should then be balanced with an equivalent amount of carbon removal, which can happen through natural approaches like
restoring forest or through technologies like direct air capture and storage, which scrubs carbon directly from the atmosphere. Next, we can see when the world need to reach net zero emission. The latest science suggests that limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius depends on CO2 emission reaching net zero between 2050 and 2060. Under the Paris Agreement, countries agreed to limit global warming to below 2 degrees Celsius, ideally to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The global climate impacts that are already unfolding under the current 1.1 degrees Celsius of global warming, from melting ice to devastating heat waves and more intense storms, show the urgency of minimizing temperature increase. Reaching net zero earlier in that range avoids the risk of temporary overshooting or exceeding 1.5 degrees Celsius. This does not suggest that all countries need to reach net zero emission at the same time. However, the changes of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius depend significantly on how soon the highest emitters reach net zero. Next, we can move on to how we can achieve net zero. There are three main areas of actions were outlined in a recent open letter for world leaders at COP26, signed by more than 90 CEOs of multinational companies. The first one is the switch from fossil fuels to clean energy and clean energy products to accelerate in order to achieve net zero. Policymakers must shift subsidies and financial support away from fossil fuels to clean energy and low carbon technologies. Next one is for the policy makers must support and incentivize first movers in the fight against climate change to help scaling existing proven solutions and develop new sustainable technologies. And next one is the public and private investment is a crucial part of creating resilient supply chains and infrastructure that can help advance climate resilience, sustainable food production, and secure water supplies. We have a glance on global warming emitters of the world. The top 5 emitters accounted for about 60% of greenhouse gas emissions in 2021, which include China, the United States of America, India, the European Union, and the Russian Federation. The group of 20 includes Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, and some other countries. Are responsible for about 76% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. The least developed countries account for about 3.8% of the global emissions, while small island developing states contribute less than 1%. From this, we can understand that it is necessary to reduce greenhouse gas emissions all over the world. Next, what is advancing net zero? The World Green Building Council's Advancing Net Zero commitment has been signed by national government, cities, and leading long-term property investors and many other investors who have yet to sign are interested in applying some of the best practices of maintaining their credentials as responsible organizations. The key principles suggested by the World Green Building Council are first one, the measure and disclose carbon, which says carbon, the ultimate metric to track, and buildings must achieve on annual operational net zero carbon emissions balanced on metered data. Next one, reduce energy demand. Which prioritize energy efficiency to ensure that buildings are performing as efficiently as possible and not wasting energy. Next one, generate balance from renewables.
supply remaining demand for renewable energy sources, preferably on site, followed by off site or from offsets. The fourth one, improve verification and rigor. Over time, progress to include embodied carbon and other impact areas such as zero water and zero waste. For getting net zero by 2050, 8 actions are to be needed to be followed by 2030 itself. And they are, first one is increase solar and wind capacity 3.5 times to 500 gigawatts. Next one, eliminate most electricity generation from coal. Third one, maintain current natural gas generating capacity for reliability. Fourth one, increase zero emission vehicle sales share to 50%. Fifth one, increase sales share to building heat pumps to 50%. Sixth one, all new buildings and appliances meet strict energy efficiency goals. Seventh one, R&D for carbon capture, sequestration, and carbon neutral fuels. And eighth one is the last one, build electricity transmission and pipelines for carbon dioxide and hydrogen gases. Next, Dr. Jitendra Singh says that, who is the Minister of State for the Ministry of Science and Technology, said that India has remained steadfast in its transition towards clean energy, achieving the fastest pace of renewable capacity addition amongst all major economies, and ambitious transition goals articulated by Prime Minister Modi in India's Panchamrit Declaration at COP26. India's energy mix strategies include a larger shift towards clean energy alternatives, increased manufacturing capacities, energy use efficiency, and a policy push for hydrogen, including production-linked incentives. Next, we can see how the national policies and the local impact in India. The Unnit Jeevan by affordable LEDs and appliances for all, which is Ujala program, is the world's largest zero subsidy LED bulb initiative for residential consumers, and an example for the type of national policy with local impact at which India excels. Beyond reducing energy consumption by 35 terawatt annually, Ujala sparked substantial investments in LED bulb manufacturing and slashing retail prices. And India is track on renewable energy, and the Indian Railway has pledged to make net zero by 2030. India initiated the International Solar Alliance for Solar Energy. It has also set up for Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure for Climate Adaptation. And there are some green buildings in India include Indira Paryavaran Bhavan and Surat Diamond Bourse, etc. Indira Paryavaran Bhavan is India's first on-site net zero building located in New Delhi. The building houses the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, accommodating 3 ministers and their officials along their sites, along with the about 600 officials. The building designed and constructed by the Central Public Works Department was completed in 2030 at a cost of Indian rupee 209 crore. The building has its own solar power plant, sewage treatment facility, fully automatic robotic multi-level car parking system facility, and parcel parking facility, and geothermal heat exchange system. Next, the Surat Diamond Bourse, which is inaugurated newly. opened on January 17, 2024, with constructional cost of 3,400 crore on situated on 35.5 acre complex, has a recreational zone and a parking area spread across 20 lakh square feet. It features one of the world's largest radiant cooling systems. And apart from this, there are many green buildings in India, include Rajiv Gandhi International Airport in Hyderabad, Suzlon One Earth campus in Pune, and also Infinity Benchmark in Kolkata, etc. And I would like to conclude my part. An increased push for energy efficiency, renewable energy technology, electric mobility, along with the growing digitalization movement and a universal carbon pricing structure would speed up the carbon-free future.
Yeah, I think we lost her there. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you're there, Prajita. Is your presentation done?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to conclude my part.
Please. Please, dear.
An increased push for energy efficiency, renewable energy technology, electric mobility, along with growing digitalization movement and a universal carbon pricing structure would speed up the carbon-free future and rise of a global middle class we desperately need. We can and must all do our part. With this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Prajita. What I could see here is your commitment, your dedication. Really, you have stood as a role model, as a very good example for exactly what you have done today. You didn't give up. You were so resilient with your thing, and then like you went ahead, you presented it, you took help, you collaborated with others. That's what is required actually in today's world, whether it is net zero or carbon emission, or talking about finance, whatever thing that we're talking about, what is very important is being committed to the job that is assigned to us. Thank you so much. On that note, I would like to welcome Dr. Zahira ma'am to do the summary. Thank you.
Prajita, good work, Prajita. Your presentation is also very good and neat. You have done a very well preparation for this event. So you have started with the topic global effort to reach net zero. So you have started with what, when and how to provide this net zero. And we have also mentioned the few countries, nearly 20 countries which is involved in this activity to become a net zero within 2030. And then you have also given a hint of how the Paris Climate Agreement is taking place. First, with to limit the 2% of our climate, and then you have mentioned that we have to enhance the renewable energy in all buildings, and then also you have mentioned that we have to align the financial flow and all this objective to be met with this Paris Climate Agreement. And then also you have made 8 points. You have mentioned 8 points by 2050 how we can reach the net zero carbon emission. So with that, you have started with how we can move on from conventional to the non-renewable system, and then how we can eliminate all the coal energies and we have to use the solar and renewable energies, and how we have to move on to the fuel from fuel electric vehicle to the electric vehicle, so that we can avoid the pollutions and also we can avoid the fuel consumption for it. And also you have mentioned how to reduce the emission from all the carbon wastes. And then you have mentioned the words of Dr. Jitendra Singh, who is mentioning by 2030 India will be reaching the net zero with all these procedures. And also you have mentioned about few policies. It's a very good survey you have taken from it. We have India, we have a policy of Ujala, and also we have mentioned the buildings which we have installed in India, that is Indra Pravishya Bhavan, and also the Surat Diamond Grouse So it is a very well data. It should be known to the youngsters of today, so that they will be avoiding this carbon emission and they will be moving on to the net zero. So these youngsters who are the future to avoid net zero and protect our Earth, Mother Earth. Good presentation, Prajita. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. If I'm given a chance, like I would like to add on there. I was thinking that this topic or this initiative is going to develop student leaders. I'm so happy that we are towards it. We are just towards it and we are reaching it there. Developing student leaders who are acting as a role model, as an example to take it forward to the community. And hats off to their commitment, dedication, being resilient, not giving up, and putting in 200% participation. As we all know, 99% effect and 1% is what is the perseverance is all about. And this 99% has taken it forward, Prajita. You have really stood in my heart, and definitely hats off to you. Thank you so much. On that note, I would like to welcome Mr. Arnish Srivastava.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, dear. Welcome. Sir has to leave, so he said that he will share his few words on the topic, not only pertaining to greenwashing that he has messaged in the chat box, on the whole topic, and so will leave. Thank you. Mr. Arnish Srivastava, please go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, just quickly, I think we've covered obviously a very broad range of topics because the road to net zero is such that there are so many interconnected aspects, and rightly so, and everyone has done their part very well. In the last presentation that we saw from Prajita, there was one topic that was going around in my head that we were sort of missing in this end-to-end sort of coverage that we are trying to do right on this topic, and she briefly touched upon it. So that is carbon capture, utilization, storage, or carbon removal mechanisms, right? So this is something that, okay, so there are nature-based solutions that we already have. So the oceans or the forests are the largest carbon sequestration mechanisms that nature has already given us, right? But when you take into consideration the melting of ice caps or the rise of sea levels or the rise in temperature of sea levels as well, and the deforestation coupled with that, so then we are left with having to come up with some innovative technologies that sequester that, capture that carbon which we are emitting, which we are increasingly emitting, right? And I mean, it's quite paradoxical because the fossil fuel industry is always like, the first consideration or the first target when we talk about anything that is sustainable. But in their processes, they have always been using carbon capture technologies for hydrocarbon extraction. And on top of that, there are more startups and newer companies coming up with technologies which can sequester carbon. Of course, it requires investment, it requires R&D. But the thing is that if this is where the balance between development and sustaining comes. So if we take the example of countries like India, like where I am from, so we cannot just go for degrowth. We have to sort of go for green growth, right? So we cannot stop or slow down our pace of development, which has come after so many efforts, so many decades, which is now, and obviously it contributes to economies, to livelihoods, and the betterment all over the world. But that is where the balance is now. The development obviously will have some sort of environmental impacts. So to counter those environmental impacts, these removal mechanisms are also important, whether nature-based or man-made, both, right? So that is something I wanted to touch upon, and I mean, there were quite a few impactful presentations today. So I mean, congratulations to everyone for their efforts and bringing forth to a global audience over here. I think some which I can recall are obviously Janashri, Prajita, Lara, she's here, and Sachin as well. So these were, and of course, passionate contribution from Miss Belina. So these are some of the ones which stood out for me personally. And also, Dr. Srividya, I think Dr. Bose had mentioned in the chat that he also wants to contribute.
We will pick
with
it
one
up.
topic.
We will pick it up, sir. We will definitely pick it up. We are just going in order. Since you said that you had to leave, we are giving you the thing.
Yeah.
To be on the
Thank
safer
you.
side. If you are done with that, then we will take it over.
Yes.
Sure. Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for letting me also be a part of it from GSFN.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye.
thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for your presence, and we would like to have you for the forthcoming sessions as well. Thank you so much. As a mentor, that we would like to have your contributions in molding this younger generation and taking them forward, in helping them with the presentations and whatever thing. And I think we can coordinate with Dr. Renuka on this. Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we have got two impromptu speakers now for today. Dr. Vishnupada Bose and Dr.
Yes, good evening.
Adibisi. Dr. Shahid Adibisi, we welcome.
Yes, good evening, madam.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, sir. Just we welcome Dr. Shahid Adibisi.
May I present now?
We will invite you, sir. Just give me a second, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So we welcome Dr. Shahid Adibisi to cover on the particular topic which was not covered today, the decarbonization targets. So Doctor said he will have a very short presentation for 5 minutes covering the topic. So after that, we will give Dr. Vishnupada Bose opportunity to speak on green innovation to convert dangerous wastes into construction materials. Meanwhile, I've got some battery issues, so I made Dr. Vijina as a host. So if at all I'm going to be missed in the session for some time, we can just carry on with the session. Thank you so much. Over to Dr. Shahid Adibisi. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. And like I just thought of it that decarbonization is actually one of the subtopics that I took with the UN SDSN SDG Academy under the climate sustainable development and the climate science course. It was a very wonderful experience. But let me just maybe try to reawaken our consciousness about the decarbonization issue. Do we really know that we have 118 chemical substances that exist in our environment, in our ecosystem? And among these, we have 90 that happen to be the natural chemical elements. And among these very 90, carbon is single out to be the focus of this very problem that is ravaging the countries or the world now. And why? Because carbon is a part of us. Carbon is a part of every aspect of our life. Our food, our body system, the ecosystem, the atmosphere, and everything. And let me tell us about the realities about this thing. We are actually driving carbonized economy, whereby everything we are actually producing, consuming, living with are actually carbonized. We have a carbonized transport system, we have carbonized industry, we have carbonized energy, we have carbonized agriculture, we have carbonized lifestyle, even in our homes. The heating system, the cooling system, the lighting system, the home appliances, everything is actually based on the carbon-driven existence. And that's the reason why carbon is actually leading when we are talking about the problem that has been caused, because it has been overly dependent upon. And the decarbonization issue, the target for it is to reduce it. It's to reduce it. And reduce because it has generated a lot of pollution. And also it is to reduce the source of it in balancing how it should be existing in our environment. That is what we are targeting. The target is actually to reduce the excess of it and also to balance the existence of it. We cannot eradicate it. And I am trying to now query the net zero in nature or the net zero in artificial generation. Which one? we should be clear. And I want to believe that the technicality of the net zero of the target is actually to reduce the artificial source, not the natural source. If we want to have the net zero, we are going to die, because if carbon is within us, then what is net zero? So the net zero is actually targeting the artificial source of the carbon generation. And that is where the major technical term of description is. And of course, why? Because the issue of global warming and the issue of climate change that is actually causing a lot of disaster. Then moving to the next aspect of it, the decarbonization target is a goal that the countries of the world and also individual regions and also the companies are actually setting to bring or to reduce that very emission of the carbon effect. But there is a question that we need to ask ourselves. Countries are making commitments to reduce. Countries are also making commitments to reduce. What about individuals? We have about 8 billion people on the planet. Individuals generating their own carbon footprints. Do we ask ourselves that what is our own target? What is our own carbon target to reduce the way we are generating these very carbons? So that is a question that we should put into the concept of the decarbonization target. We have the countries making commitment. We have the companies making the commitment. What about the individuals that are huge population living on the same planet? And that leads us to that if the country are actually making a good target to reduce, it has to be in two different dimensions: the efforts versus the timeline. The effort they want to commit versus the timeline that is going to take them to actually achieve it. And that has to do with their measurement of their contribution. Any country that doesn't know what it is contributing to the global carbonization system cannot really cut down anything. So there is need to actually measure the quantity of what is being contributed. Then the country now or the company now has to what? Has to do a kind of an approach to now reduce it. I think these are where people are making the suggestion that maybe some of these very statements are not actually true. Let me go to some of those statements. The European countries are actually targeting to have a climate neutral of maybe net zero targeting 2050. That is very understandable because of the advancement and the technology and even the level of research that is ongoing. But let's look at some other aspect. Microsoft is targeting 2030. I can't understand. Microsoft has to do with technology. It is not about what is being generated by the company. It is the consumption. How did they measure the consumption aspect of what the company is actually producing? So if they were able to meet up 2030 of their whole carbon neutral target, what about the effect from the aspect of the consumption? You and I are using Microsoft products, services. That is indirect contribution because we are using that very product and that very services. So what I'm trying to drive at is that to actually make the statement a reality, to actually make it something that is achievable, there is need to measure the effort versus what are the contribution level, directly and indirectly. Then look at how to solve the problem. Let me quickly go to the history. Actually, the history of decarbonization was started in 1970s when there are environmental issues that are giving the signals around the world. And also, again, the kind of adoption into the global meetings in 1992 at the UNFCCC convention, and also it's embedded into the legal agenda in 1997 at the Kyoto Protocol, and it comes to something that the country has to sign their commitment in 2015 when this very Paris agreement, and that is telling us the sequential of how important, how this very issue has been taken so seriously. Because if you look at the timeline, just less than 30 years, 70 80, 90, 2000, then 2000. So you can see that it is becoming a pressing issue. Within that very short time, it has become something that has escalated and that is demanding attention left and right, technology, human, and everything. So that is just about the history that is telling us that action is actually very urgent. And let's look at the issue of what are we actually want to achieve by this very discussion, by this very effort. What are the world all over want to achieve? We want to actually lower the temperature. That is where the signal is. That is where the measurement is. That is where our pointer is. We want to lower the temperature below 2 degrees Celsius. And what is the limit that we are actually targeting? We are targeting 1.5. So that is the reason why we should, everything is well coordinated and well strategic. So that is to just give the information. And what are the techniques? What are the techniques that actually have been put in? I think the last speaker actually talk about some of them, but it is about the renewable energy. The renewable energy in terms of, you see, renewable energy are the good source of reducing this very carbon emission, but the efficiency is the problem. If we can have a source that can magnify to actually give us the quantity of what's needed to power our services, our product, our this thing, it's going to be very, very interesting. So the focus now on renewable energy is actually the quantity that will be very small and magnify in its efficiency. Small production that is going to actually deliver the service that the world really needs. That is where the renewable energy are actually focusing. Then carbon capture and storage. This is where another technique is also lies. Carbon capture has been something that everybody in the science world are brainstorming upon. And I want to still believe that the green solution is the best solution to carbon capture, because we have some plants, some animal and microorganisms that can really capture this very carbon at the fast rate and decompose them into useful products. So this is where our focus in the science world in finding solutions should be also focusing. Like I want to also mention the electric everything. I think there are so many solutions that are actually been developed, even with the hydroelectric powering machines or solutions that are, and a biotechnology aspect of it that are actually very promising solutions to those things. Then what are the relevance? That is where I am going to stop. What are the relevance of all these efforts, even with the solution and everything? The relevance is that it's going to save the world from the impact of the climate change, because it is only those that are experiencing it that can tell the story. Family lost, property wasted, economy crashed. And these are the things that are not likely discussed. These are the things that are making generation of population of people weeping every day. So it's going to reduce the impact or even wipe out the impact, and also it's going to reduce the economic loss and also economic safety. A lot of businesses are crashing because of this very issue. A lot of businesses, economies are crashing. And also the pollution. The pollution has two effects. The pollution in terms of the health risks. The people that are suffering from this very effect of climate change, that are affected health-wise, and their cost of procuring maybe treatment or different things that to normalize the effect. And even some are even, despite that they have the treatment, they cannot balance, they cannot remain the same. Talking about the genetic problem that has been caused by this very heat, something, and also the pollution. These are something that are serious, and that is what this very decarbonization target is going to actually provide us with. That is where it is very relevant. And on this note, I'd like to conclude that it has been a very wonderful discussion, and these are just my contribution to the part of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sahid. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes,
okay,
we do.
Wonderful. And thank you, Dr. Sahid. Wow. You brought so much to our attention. There's so much to look at, and you also cleared up some concepts that we also think that they're not really making sense. But the truth of the matter is that setting and achieving net zero decarbonization target requires a combination of a lot of things to make it real, right? Like you're saying, it requires policy measures, technological advances, financial investments, and international cooperation. I think that most importantly is the international cooperation. What you've learned, you share with us, and what we've learned, we share with others. And I think best practices continues to be the best way to go around it. You made it so stark and so real, and I felt it. I felt the urgency that it involves. It involves a comprehensive and a coordinated effort across all of us, all sectors, to transition to a sustainable and a low carbon economy, and that's going to take time. I know that right now, countries, organizations, and companies are setting these action plans, and I think we just have to have faith that it's going to happen. But for people like you, people that are actually working, for everybody who's participated today, we can actually make the difference. We can actually put these into action. So thank you so much for bringing such an amazing and eye-opening presentation, because it was eye-opening, and I'm taking a lot with me that I want to check up on all these other companies and organizations that are saying they're doing something, and are they really going to be able to do it? So thank you. Thank you so much for being so provocative.
Thank you, Dr. Virginia. That was wonderful. Thank you, as usual, from you. Well, so we have come towards the end of the session with the last speaker for the day, Dr. Vishnu Padabose.
Yes, good evening, madam. Good evening to all of you.
Dr. Vishnu is going to present on green innovation to convert dangerous waste into construction materials, an approach towards net zero emission. That's a goal for 2050. On that note, may I request Ms. Ermina to welcome Dr. Vishnu Padabose. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Vishnu Padabose, PhD, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, India, partner representative, GSFN. We have the topic today, green innovation to convert dangerous waste into construction materials, an approach towards net zero emission goal 2050. Welcome, Dr. Vishnu.
Thank you. Dr. Vishnu,
Yes, thank you so much. Yes,
always
thank you
a
so
pleasure.
much.
Yes.
Thank
Dr.
you,
Vishnu.
and good evening to all of you.
Good evening, Dr. Vishnu. Let's keep it short because, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. This is actually a realistic project in my university, that waste material converted to building materials and reduce the emission generation. Because main key point is burnt clay brick. Burnt clay brick producing huge amount of emissions because it's needed to heat up to 12,000 degrees Celsius, 1200 degrees Celsius, and fuel as a coal or other fossil fuel is required to run the clean of a burnt clay brick. And one data is there, the clean of burnt clay brick release 1072 million ton of carbon dioxide emission into the atmosphere every year. It is almost 2.7% of the total emission globally. So it is a huge amount. The brick from burnt clay brick, emissions coming in the atmosphere 2.7%. And this type of many elements is there in the earth. So only burnt clay brick contributing 2.7%. So why it is so important? Because burnt clay brick needed fossil fuel to burn up to 1200 degrees Celsius. So I have developed a process technology to brick from the mast, and it is a purely cold process. No heating process is required. That's what it is, a purely carbon positive and carbon neutral process. So this is my actual project, and it is already commercialized. This is the common data. This is my project. We have developed a process technology for manufacturing of bricks without burning fossil fuel and concrete from the mine waste. The whole process contributes to reaching the goal of net zero emission 2025. So this is the waste which I have taken in consideration for this developed project. It is mainly mining waste. So mining waste having this type of problem in the environment. It's occupied land. It's creating environment pollution, land pollution, soil pollution, and also to maintain this dump include huge amount of cost. So we have developed a process technology and eliminate all those issues. So this is the brief of the realistic pictures. This is the actual project from where we have collected the waste, and it is the situated in the India, eastern part of the India. This is a huge amount dump waste. It has actually it remained there last 60 years. So it is actually rocky materials and suitable for manufacturing of bricks and concretes. So that I have considered. And through the circular economy process, I have developed this way. First of all, collected the material, then screening, then segregated and split up the materials size-wise. Then I have prepared the brick and concrete both. This is the actual dump over there. This type of material I have extracted from the waste. Stone chips, coarse grain, medium grain, fine grain, and it is a carbonaceous material. It can use for fuel. It is all extracted from the mining waste. This is the material. Chemical composition we have tested. This is the chemical composition on this waste. If this waste is remain in the open environment, then this chemical composition can harm to the environment. So if we manufacture the bricks, then we can eliminate all those issues. So actually this is problem versus solutions. Huge mine waste, cost, tremendous environmental degradation, vast land area rendered unfit for vegetation and inhabitation. And the other hand, depletion of reserve natural construction material, fertile topsoil using burnt clay bricks. This is the issues. And we have solved this issue through produce the brick that I am giving the next pages. This is the actual figure. Again, I am seeing the Google map from the actual location. This is the material. This is the flow chart, how I developed this process. This is the actual product which I have developed. This is the bricks developed from the mining waste. And this brick property is similar to the burnt clay brick, but burnt clay brick produce emission and this process zero emissions. There is no emission because it is only cold process. We have achieved the strength through the curing process with binder. This is the property I have tested in the laboratory. This is the concrete which I have tested in the laboratory, and this is 10 parameters. This is the costing comparison of the concrete, particularly the strength which has achieved. It is actually satisfied the standard and code. I mean British Standard Code, Indian Standard Code, American Standard Code, all are satisfied as a building materials, and costing almost 36% less from the conventional concrete. And this is the comparison of the bricks. Our bricks product price very less, and this is the other market bricks which is there, remain is there. So we have to study the market that our material is very cheapest, 36% less than the market price, and it is already commercialized. Novelty of works, approach waste to wealth, low carbon footprint, low cost, high competition strength, scalable business model. And this business can be set up anywhere, but preferably near the mining waste. Building constructed using waste material classified as a green, release vast area of land for agriculture and commercial activities, and replace scarce resource of aggregates. Whole process contributes to the reaching the goal of net zero emissions. It is possible to convert mine waste into construction material without compromising the quality and cost. A sustainable propositions. The technology can help to consume waste and provide an alternative solution for the construction sector. The calamities associated with this waste will cease to exist. The technology will ensure food security by replacing traditional clay bricks, because traditional clay bricks consume huge amount of fertile topsoil, which degrading the reduce the agricultural efficiency, reduce the crop production. The building to be constructed using this technology will be qualified as a green buildings. The technology provides innovative entrepreneurial opportunities with future prospects. So this is my actual project. The aim of this project is production of the brick instead of burnt clay brick, because burnt clay brick producing emissions to the atmosphere, 2.7% contributing in our global emissions total from the total global emissions. If this process will adopted by the different countries, so we can reduce emissions 2.7% from the atmosphere in future. So this is my projects. these bricks actually commercialized.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yes,
Doctor.
thank you so much.
That was a wonderful
Thank you.
presentation, and definitely it's a wonderful project when it comes to the carbon emission. Yeah, it is. And you should stop sharing your screen. And we really appreciate your initiative of sharing it on our platform. Definitely, I think everybody will come to know about it, and they will be approaching you for further details, which you will be able to guide them, sure. And you can leave your messages in the chat box and also in all the media platforms that we are using about your project, about a small briefing about that. And let's start working together, collaborate on this and taking this initiative to the global level. Thank you so much. On that note, we would like to pass the buck on to Ms. Armina again. Yes, Ms. Armina.
I am here always. I want to invite the shining Virginia Rivera, Dr. Virginia Rivera, to tell us a few words about this day, about the speeches, and maybe to summarize the last presentation of Dr. Vishnu Padabose.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
so I just have to say, Dr. Vishnu, thank you for bringing this, and I think it ended in the right note. This is just an incredible example of how green innovations are really going to help us in the future. And I think the fact that we're talking about green innovations that are being explored to convert dangerous materials into construction materials is key. When you say dangerous materials, I know that a lot of it is dangerous, but this particularly, especially, we know that so many companies are doing things that they should not be doing in corporations. So the fact that you're offering solutions is really, really important. You showed how it doesn't only help us with climate change, but it also brings back job creation. It also helps a new entrepreneurial program. There's so many things that are attached to this program. I just say that by embracing these innovations, the construction industry can contribute doing well and doing good more than harm, which is what's sort of happening right now, and to making this a more sustainable and circular economy, reducing waste, which I think is key, minimizing environmental impacts, and promoting the efficient use of resources. So thank you for finishing with this one. I don't think it was on purpose, but it was just perfect because it shows how we as humans can actually impact, how we as humans can actually make a change. Everything that we've heard today, every single one. Starting, I joined when Ms. Lara was talking, and I was so impressed by this young person and just thinking outside the box and really talking about things that are difficult to talk about, but definitely bringing it on. And every single one has brought solutions, but also eye-opening moments that really call this urgency that we all need to do something, we all need to be part of. And I think that more than anything, every single voice is important. And bring your voice to advocate, bring your voice to policy change, bring your voice, sabotage. You know what? Stop buying from companies that do wrong things. We just need to take a strong stance in things so we can see a change. So thank you all, because today, arriving to net zero is the key. And the only way we can do it is if we participate in everything that's going on. So thank you. Thank you all for inviting me. I love these sessions. I love seeing young people really participate and spearhead so many new movements and new programs. And I love to hear experts really emphasizing and more than anything, being mentors to these young persons. So thank you again. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful, my dear Virginia, wonderful, like always, like always. And now I want to invite Lara, maybe she can tell us in 1 minute a few words about this day.
Yeah, well, it was fantastic. This is one of my first experiences talking on an international panel and, participating in this whole thing. And I think that I learned a lot. I definitely have like a Google document full of notes right now. But it was just great. And also being able to share my ideas and to exchange them with somebody else. I mean, I learned so much I didn't know. The project that Dr. Bose just showed us, I found that it was really inspiring, and also the presentation that they made about the green investments. I also think that it's something we don't really talk about a lot, but it's really important to shine a light on them. So I'm so grateful that you invited me as a guest speaker, and thank you so much.
Beautiful, dear Lara. And now I want to invite the brilliant Dr. Shrivia.
Okay, thank you. Before me, I thought let's take a turn with all the other speakers, and then when it comes to me, I will have to give the takeaways for today. So, Dr. Shahid, are you busy? Dr. Shahid?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, doctor.
Okay, you want me to make a remark? I think it has been wonderful, and every speaker have said, it is good to actually contribute. It is good to actually listen. It is good to actually share our own practical experiences, because it is from the practical experiences that we can get a true picture of the problem. They understand how to solve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, doctor. Dr. Zahira, would you like to say a few words? Zahira, ma'am? If you're there? Okay, Sachin? We could see Sachin still there. Anybody from IGEN? Sachin? Dr. Zahira? IGEN?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. Would you like to say a few words before we wind up?
Yes, I would like to thank everyone for inviting me to this meeting and letting me, giving me a chance to talk about it. I gained a lot of knowledge by listening to all of them speaking and also by presenting. So yes, thank you everyone. Thanks a lot. It was really a good experience for me.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sachin. Yes, Miss Palina. Miss Palina, it was wonderful having you. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I want to thank you for the opportunity for selecting me to be one of the young people to give a viewpoint from what I'm experiencing here in Botswana. I'm actually anticipating to learn a lot also through your networks, because I believe that I'll be able to become a seasoned leader and also to understand more in terms of climate change. So I'm looking forward to see what you're going to do more, which is going to need us as young people to be able to step up. And I'm always open for engagements. I went through your profiles, so I got to see that you are indeed people that sometimes I may need to just benchmark from in a lot of things. So thank you so much. I'm really humbled by your gesture. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Palina. Definitely, this is a platform to collaborate with people, to start working together. As we always say, coming together is a beginning. Staying together is a process, and working together is success. To take the success of this event, definitely we should collaborate and we should start working with people. Yeah, Mr. Danush or Ms. Zahira? If not so, then we will wind up the session. Yes, Dr. Vishnupada Bose, would you like to add on there, please?
First of all, I would like to I express my sincere thanks and gratitude to all of you, because it is a so excellent program you have arranged, and all our effort is there, and ultimately we have to save the planet. So initiative needs to mobilize from our sides. I mean, all individuals or citizens needs to take initiatives to save the planet. So it is in that way, it is a very good, relevant program and very excellent program I have arranged. And I have learned many things from this program, and many things like in the sense of exchange of knowledge, discussions, and important point within us. So it is a very helpful, and I also came to know very insight of this. Future that reach to sustainable development goal, reach to net zero emissions 2050. Yes. So in that way, I express my sincere thanks and gratitude to all of you. I'm really grateful to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Ms. Armina, can I sum it up so that we will, yeah? So, today's session takeaways, the main takeaways are that
what does net zero means? This means that global greenhouse gas emissions from human activity are in balance with the emissions reductions. So this is what is the whole thing has been discussed in different points as such. And what are the main key takeaways is that we were asking for collaboration, a switch from the fossil fuel to the clean energy, and the clean energy products that needs to accelerate in order to achieve net zero. So that we policy makers, that we are as leaders, as change makers, must shift subsidies from financial support away from fossil fuels to green energy. And also with low carbon technologies that has been mentioned to you, cut tariffs on climate friendly practices, as Dr. Vishnupada Bose was mentioning, and also like Pratija was mentioning, and we had good takeaways, adequate measures to ensure such a transition. So we policymakers as change makers must support these initiatives as fast movers in the flight, as trendsetters, trailblazers in the fight against this climatic change, to help scale existing from the proven solutions that we have seen for ourselves as example, develop new sustainable technologies. So it is universally harmonized laws and regulations can help accelerate these key technologies. As the madam was mentioning, it should be universally harmonized laws and regulations that should accelerate the key takeaways and technologies for sustainable best practices and encourage public adoption of low carbon products. Last but not the least, public and private investment. I repeat, public and private investment on these projects is a crucial part of creating a resilient supply chain and infrastructure that can help advance climatic resilience, sustainable food production, and secure water supplies. So mobilizing capital for a large-scale infrastructure projects requires a coordinated approach. I request somebody to just mute yourself. I really don't know who is this.
Oh, let's see. All are muted.
Okay. Sorry about it. Sorry, these are norms when you come on Zoom. Sorry. So, sorry. The mobilizing capital for large-scale infrastructure projects requires a coordinated approach, as Dr. Virginia was mentioning. We should go hand in hand, thread in thread, with thoughts, action, and deeds, such that we have a coordinated approach in collaboration between developers, investors, public finance institutions, governments, local NGOs, etc., for all those vulnerable countries or even the developing countries, such that we will be able to take it forward. The main rationale of net zero by achieving it by 2050. On that note, we conclude today's session and over to Madam Ermina. Thank you, Ms. Ermina. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. Hope I've just briefed it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my Vidya, and thank you in the name of the IIU team. I am proud to be here as a member of IIU team because behind of all these projects is a work team always. We can do alone all this work. And I will repeat, for me, sustainability is not about being perfect. It's about honesty. Yes, we talk, but here in this project, we try to take action. We try to find solution for a better world, because all action that we do let a shadow, let a negative impact in our lives and for the next future generation. Let's see, I want to express my gratitude to all the panelists from today, and I will try to present all the panelists. Mr. Bindalal, Dr. Nada Ratkovic, Dr. Lakshmi, Dr. Adebisi, Dr. Amarnath Mishra, Dr. Virginia Rivera, Dr. Adu Loju, Dr. Inga Karchilava, and Dr. Zahira. Also, I want to express our gratitude to all the speakers from today, and I will start first with Jansri Shakar Tanvir Ahmed, with Aliasa Anas and Milina Fula with the topic standards for net zero emission pledge, with Pedia Gorata Pinemar, Gasio Kangone, resilience to destruction caused by climate change. Next speaker, Prajita and Lara, they have such a great presentations, the global effort to reach net zero. After Dr. Sachin about investing carbon markets, Aisha Truksana and Gatwoma Naomi with the topic invest in carbon markets, and Dr. Bishnu Pada Bose and Hilary Wafula Murole Amonahi Yakubu with the topic right decarbonization target, Dr. Doku Emanuela, Dr. Hamid Rasol with the topic resilience to disruption caused by climate change, Dr. Martha Ponera Collins Luongo with the topic the global effort to reach net zero. Great topics chosen for today, dear Srividya. Congratulations for all you did. I want to say a wide round of applause and thanks to Dr. Srividya for her outstanding work, for this outstanding project. Thank you, my dear, and thank you all for the chat live.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
so much. Thank you.
So it's time to give the next week topic. It's biodiversity, a strong natural defense against climatic change. I repeat once again, biodiversity, our strong natural defense against climate change. That's otherwise called as no-go commitment. So we're going to meet on 3rd of Feb to take this one forward. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your big support. It's not going to happen, but you can never dream of having it. For this, the immense support from each and every one of you has taken it forward, has moved forward. Thank you so much. On that note, till we say good morning or good evening or good afternoon from any part of the world, we have to bid you adieu. Thank you so much on behalf of IGEN, on behalf of JSFN, on behalf of IAU, on behalf of R&D, and on behalf of UC Land. We take this opportunity to bid a big adieu for each one of you. Thank you so much.
Srividya, let's salute everyone in our language in same time.
Yeah, sure. Here we go.
I will salute in Hindi and in Romanian.
1, 2, 3.
Bună seara! Namaste!
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.